Yo, what's up, guys? My name is Paul Lee. I am a spiritual teacher, also slash exorcist slash, God, divine, awakened, whatever you guys want to claim it to be. I am on that level, and I just want to kind of give y'all I'm gonna start with the basis of like my spiritual journey. And then I'll get into more stories of like how to deal with exorcisms and like what is like when you take these paths, what should you expect with like the energetic powers you gain, because it's like you live in multiple dimensions as you waken up, and the more you do and learn, and the more you gain. And I'm a security guard right now, so just doing my walkthrough, and I just make sure no one's here fucking with shit. And it's the only place I have light, because I was gonna do it in my car, but no light. But so I want to talk about my spiritual journey, right? And like what I first experienced and what woke me up. And it was kind of like what made me change my whole ideology was I've always been like into martial arts and working out, and I did cage fighting for years and sports and stuff like that. And it was back when I was still drinking and smoking, and I was at a buddy's house, and it was just probably maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. I've always been spiritually attuned and could see spirits and stuff like that, but never had no like ability to fight them off. So I'd always like live in fear of like, what the fuck am I supposed to do, And so I was at my buddy's house. I was watching this video, and it was actually about this guy. He goes by Joe Dispenza, right? And he was talking about like sitting in the fire and about self-healing, and I was like going through my own things and trying to heal myself, and because I've gotten injured from things over life, and the world just was not friendly, because it seems like the world is tougher on the spiritual enlightened beings that are meant to awaken, but they are to be broken, and now I'm learning how to heal. And so in the process of all that, I had a moment where I was watching this video, and he was like all about breathing, and I did a mixture, like when I was listening to him, and he was talking about how he healed himself and he can activate, and it's kind of like manifestation. So I went outside, and I just woken up from a night, kind of like partying, kicking with my homie. Like I wasn't like partying, but more like so I'm just doing my little quick looks, make sure everything's locked up. But I was like doing my partying where I was like kicking it and doing shit, and so I'm like kind of like still coming off from being like a little bit hangover, a little bit of highness, and so I'm about to go smoke a cigarette, and I was like, I'm gonna go test this outside. I'll smoke a cigarette and stay outside. It's early morning, sun's rising, and so I'm like doing the whole like I'm breathing heavily in through my nose and out through my mouth, and I'm standing barefooted on the earth, like on a little hill, and I was like, let me add a little mixture of what he's talking about with some like Dragon Ball Z shit, because the spirituality is making sure that you realize you're an unlimited being, because the world is infinite and there's infinite possibilities that could happen. It's all about what you kind of believe, So I'm like powering, I'm like tensing my body up, I'm like, and I was doing that through my body, and I literally powered up like I was in Dragon Ball Z. And at that moment, I was like, he was talking about like when you hit the fire, start manifesting things. So I manifest my shoulder to heal, and my ankle to heal, and it healed. I mean, like I was able to like jump up and down and run and lift my arm higher, because I was getting stuck where I could barely like lift my arm this high. But now I can fully lift my arm all the way up, and it was injured for years, But like I wanted to be able to tap into it naturally. But I knew right then and there that like the stuff, because I was a Christian Jew, so, or they could be like called maybe say like a Messianic Jew, which means like I'm a Reformed Jew to Christianity, and so like which I was, like I was raised Jewish, and then my father was Catholic, my mother was Jewish, and then was like, nah, we ain't doing that. And then we're like Christians. So I grew up on a very mixed upbringing. But I knew there was more. And that day when that happened, I knew that the Bible wasn't like bullshit, but it was like there was loops, there's lots of holes. And then I was coming across stuff finding like in government websites that they changed, the government's changed the Bible for the past 100 years. If you think they've been doing it for 100 years, I mean, imagine what else they've been doing to all of us, you know? So I'm like questioning things, testing stuff out. And about maybe a year goes by, I still can't find, I knew the answers were out there. As long as you stay on the path of truth, seeking that path of truth and light, you're going to find it, right? And so like about a year later, I'm going through some more things. Because it's like life will sometimes try to break you when you're still not waking up. Because eventually, once you wake up, you don't have to go through the messy messes to or react in the way that you would normally react. It'd be like learning from your mistakes, so you actually don't make the same mistakes to stay in the same cycle to repeat itself. So I was reading stuff because I started like joining all these like spiritual groups and that's where you had to start looking past the words and start looking towards the pictures, because the words were just one thing, but the pictures said a whole different thing. So I started focusing on I wanted to meet my creator, and not the creator, the normal creator. I mean, who created me specifically, made me so that I can be my highest, so I can meet God. Because I always wanted to have that conversation with God. It's always been instilled in me, and it brought me to this, and I saw I focused, right? So I closed my eyes, I'm just doing my breathing, kind of like meditating, but not meditating because I happened to sit in my car. So it wasn't sitting there oh, Leo, I wasn't listening to no music, no nothing. I just put my phone down and I focused. And in that process, I in the spiritual world, it took me to this white light. And then later on, I found out the center of the universe was this white light. But all of a sudden, this little boy appeared. And he was talking to me, but I couldn't hear him at first. Because spirituality, you realize the spiritual beings, they don't talk to us I'm talking to you through this. They talk to you through here, telepathy. And that's one of the stages of evolution of our creation. Is to evolve to telepathically talk to each other. But we have too many sins to we have so much sin and stuff that we want to hide that we never get to that level. And which is that's why you got to wake up and heal and not be scared of the things you once were in your past. Because if you heal and evolve, then nothing you've done in your past really can be broken, can be used to break you. Well, I'm talking to this little dude. And I'm are you my creator? And he kind of shook his head. He's yeah. Are you here to help me grow and evolve? And, you kind of know, if you're my creator, you know everything, right? You know everything about me. And he's yeah. Because I couldn't hear it first, because your first spiritual journey was learning the basics. And so then I'm how do I level up? And then I didn't even connect to the light, and it turns out he's source, the beginning of creation of this whole universe of light. And that doesn't mean he's the ultimate God. There's also a goddess, but I'm not going to get to that. It's a way long down the trip figuring out thing, right? But as the God of light, he showed me the sun. So I'm seeing the sun, and he's here you go, because spirits can't always fully help you unless you ask the right question. And at the time, I couldn't even hear him, so it was more I could see everything and understand in a sense of by feeling. And I realized hearing telepathically is feeling them. It's a feeling. The whole thing of your spiritual senses is all your five senses, but feeling them in a different way. And so I started touching the sun and try to absorb the energy of the sun. And he's nope. And I'm okay, let me try something different. But slowly, as I'm trying all these different things, he I started hearing him, but like little bits, like not getting, getting close, but not that close. Trying try something else. And then like it started getting more I was hearing sentences, you know, and then so like I tried like pulling the energy into my body still with my hands, but tried doing differently. I was just trying to touch it, and I was just touching it, but it was like this beautiful light and all this darkness. I'm surrounded by darkness, like I'm in space itself, and nothing else is around me at the time, because you got to think like if I'm at the sun, this is light year is distance. This is a distance from the next planet if you think about it. So you won't see nothing, and your brain doesn't comprehend it in that way at first, you know, because your brain is trying to comprehend things bigger than itself, you know what I mean? And right now I'm just starting at the sun, because that's our very first light source as humans on this planet, where we get our energy source from technically. So I'm like trying to touch it and absorb its energy, and then I tried picking it up and drinking it, because like I was like, you know, your mind is not like, the spiritual world is different than what you think in the physical. Like everything we really think we know is not what we really know in this world. So I'm like trying to scoop it and drink it. And my spirit heart, the God of light was like, you're getting there, but that's important, but not like exactly the right way to do it. And I was like, okay. So I went like sat in it, you know, and I'm doing this. I don't have time to be doing all this, like, because like even doing that, it's like, you know, it's a couple minutes and I don't have time. Like I'm working. I was at a girlfriend at the time, and I was helping take care of the kids, and we'd go do stuff. So it was like, I would take these moments in between to kind of like do a little bit of like spiritual work. So like I'd come back again and I laid in it. He's like, yeah, but you're not doing it exactly right. You're absorbing it very, very, very slowly. So I'm like, okay. So like I got into sitting position, like made my avatar in the spiritual world technically sit. My spiritual self sit in there, and I start breathing, because I was like, I had read something that like clicked, like it like clicked in my head, like, because like, you know, the spiritual world is connected to this world. So like as you're doing stuff, like you'll hear people like how you manifest, but like when you're doing stuff the spiritual, it kind of like manifests into the physical. So like extra knowledge kind of kicks in, like an outsource, like, you know, and I'm in the spiritual groups and things to post on your Facebook, and it like showed me, it was like saying like, you know, you gotta do breathing exercise. It was like a picture of like this Indian person dude, and he was like breathing, but he was also drinking from the water, and it was like showing the path of like how it all works. And it like clicked, and I was like, oh, I gotta be breathing while I'm in there. Like I gotta breathe. So I'm at work, happened to be on a break, and I was just finishing, I was still smoking cigarettes, smoking weed. I didn't really drink too much anymore by then. I was never really a drinker. It comes from my past, my family, my dad and them. He was abusive, so like, and he was an alcoholic back then and a meth head, and so like drinking was always like a turn off to me. But like I would drink here and there with my friends, because I know like it wasn't like affecting everybody in the same way it affected my dad. So it's like kind of like knowing that not everybody's the same, and I know I'm not my dad. And because like I would get drunk or high, and I'd be the same goofy person that you know me as. If like people who do know me, like I'm the same guy no matter what. Like the only difference with drunk, when I'm drunk Paul, is I'm a little bit more outgoing, you know, and high Paul is like, I'm gonna be in my own world. You know, like I'm gonna go, like I'll talk and be goofy with you, but at the same time I might become quiet and just like play on my phone, you know. But I'm like sitting there and I'm breathing, and I'll taught people this technique now, the beginners. I consider like beginners. So now I can help you cheat. Like you don't have to go figure out like what I had to figure out. Like actually, let's take you and like just do this, and then, you know, and depending on different races, I've noticed in different races it activates faster or slower, you know. White people, I found out that it's a tip we're the last in line, baby. We just happen to be the slowest to absorb the sun, because, you know, we don't have that melanin like they do, like all the other races do that have color to their skin naturally, you know. I think it wasn't so bad for me, because my Jewish bloodline, we have melanin in us, and then naturally, like I get a lot darker than this. I just haven't been working in the sun lately. But like, I took about maybe like 4.5 minutes, and like all of a sudden my body heated up, and I felt the energy. I felt it like start in my chest right here, and it spread all throughout my whole entire being. Like from like I felt it. It was like a river flooding throughout my veins, and my body heated up. But like different races, again, there's the difference when you have different races. Each race reacts differently. For me, it's myself. I got like this nice warm coolness, like Like if you were losing all hope, this is what made me think of like what this part of the sunlight was like when you lost all hope, and you could be out in the middle of a cold environment, and someone just provided this warm little light to get you through, like just got you through that little bit extra time so you survive, right? Like that's what I felt from that energy source. And like what I've noticed from like people, the darker your skin tone becomes, the hotter it becomes. Like you, like black people, I tend to find out like their reaction is the same, damn near the same. It's like when you're part of certain race, it's like the same reaction every time. And their race was like, they would be like, become fire itself. They'd be like, man, I'm getting hot, you know, and and you know, that's just the difference between races, and that's what makes us individuals and stuff like that. And for black people, it takes them like 2 minutes. When I've come across like Mexicans or Indians, it takes them about like 3 or 4 minutes. So like it varies between your tone, your skin tone, like how strong your melanin is. And so like as these things go on, I've been kind of noticing that, and I just wanted to kind of like get you out there so you can kind of go experience this for yourself. And just wanted you to know this. I'm gonna start making more and more videos. I just wanted to start my beginning my journey, and then like give examples of like people I've worked with, kind of like, so during these moments, you know, because like a lot of people, they stop. Like I get a lot of people interested and they get the feeling, but then like they don't go much further, because this is kind of a different feeling. It's a different world, and people are gonna think you're crazy, and that's okay. Like if you're gonna wake up, you're gonna have to accept that like this world is not real like you think it is, and there's another world beyond this, and you have to wake up to that world. I will make the next video soon. Good luck, guys.